Hello and welcome to Threadlock 101. So why are we having this conversation? Well, a lot of people don't understand completely what the different kinds of thread locks are used for and why you might use them. So this video will cover that. What I have in front of me is 4 different kinds of thread lock. These are what's mostly used for helicopters, and we'll go into what each one does. There's several manufacturers of thread lock, Loctite, Pacer technology, etc. But pretty much they're all branded the same or colored the same, you might say. So this one here is purple thread lock. This is one of the lighter thread locks that's available. It's not permanent. It's easy to remove. It's easy to clean, and its holding strength is light. Then you have blue Loctite. Blue Loctite is what's most commonly used on a helicopter for screws that go into metal. You have red Loctite. This is more permanent. Actually, on a T-Rex, you probably don't want to use red anywhere on the bird. It's very hard to remove, and usually you have to use a torch or heat it to get the red Loctite to remove. The only places I usually use red on a heli is on my nitro birds, maybe the nut that holds the fan on the crankshaft of an engine, something like that. But on a T-Rex, there's really nowhere you should be using this. And then there's green, R48, and green is used for, it's a wicking type of thread lock. And it's used for areas, for instance, like this. The bearing that is put into this metal block to keep the outer race from spinning in the metal block while it's a press fit, you may want to put a little bit of the green around the bearing when you press it in, and that secures it a little better. Okay, so that's an overview of the Loctite, and I'll show you how to use it next. Okay, so where are you supposed to use thread lock? And by the way, I'm using terms incorrectly. I say Loctite a lot. It's a bad habit. Loctite is a brand. The real term is threadlock, so pardon me if I use Loctite sometimes. Anyway, so where do we use it? Well, there are some thread locks that can be used with screws in plastic. It's a special kind. You would not use normal thread lock on any screws going into plastic, as it can degrade or eat the plastic. So this is where you're supposed to use thread lock. Anywhere a machine screw goes into metal. Now you'll notice on the T-Rex or other helicopters, screws that are pointed and have coarse threads are not machine screws. They're tapered screws, and they're usually used to go into plastic. You don't need to put thread lock on those screws that go into plastic. For instance, on the T-Rex carbon frame upgrade, this has a plastic block, and these screws are going to be, sheet metal screws or tapered screws, and they'll go into plastic. You don't use thread lock there. Usually the plastic holds the screw well enough where you don't have to do it. But where we do go into metal, we do want to use thread lock everywhere. Now, I got to tell you, I've helped some people who never used thread lock throughout their helicopter, and while I was helping them, every time we'd hover it, some screw was falling off somewhere. So you really, really, really want to use thread lock anywhere a machine screw goes into metal. You don't want your helicopter falling apart in a field, costing you money and crashes. So, how do you use this stuff? Well, I showed you the 2 different kinds. We have blue and purple. For screws that you're going to be in a high service area, loosening and probably removing a lot, I recommend the purple. For areas of the helicopter where you want things to be safe and permanent, for instance, the spindle that holds the blade grips on, you probably want to use the blue there rather than the purple. Even though it is a high service area, it's just safer to use the blue. It holds better than the purple. But for areas like this, I would use the purple. So how do you use it? Well, first off, on your fastener, if you have any washer or anything, you want to put that on first, because when you put the Loctite on and slide on a washer or something, you might smear it all around. Now, what we don't want to do is just blob this stuff on there and screw the screw in. You'll get a mess everywhere. Okay, so basically what you do is you put a little drop on the screw, get off any excess, and then take your finger, and while holding your finger, just turn the screw and wipe off the excess so that only the threads have the thread lock in it. And so you're not making a mess. Yes, you'll get it on your finger, you just wipe it off, and then you put the screw in and just go ahead and tighten it up. and in a short time the thread lock will harden or dry, and your screw will be secure. Okay, so just in an overview, any machine screw, metal screw into metal, that's where you want to use thread lock. In low service areas, or high service areas where you're going to be removing screws or loosening screws, the purple works well. In areas you want more secure, use the blue. So basically, that's Threadlock 101, and I hope this video helped you out, and enjoy.